Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, we're going through the Essendon versus West Coast game in which Essendon ran out winners, 122-92. I think they kicked the last 2 or 3 goals to make it a little bit more of a margin. But I thought genuinely that West Coast could have actually come back in this game. I think they were at most points in the sort of second half. It was floating between sort of a 2 to 4 goal margin, I would say. And yeah, there was one point, I think, when there was multiple points where they got it back to 8, 7, and 9 sort of region. But then Essendon would kick a couple of goals and they would get it back up to sort of that 20 to 22 point margin. But anyway, before we jump into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into this video. So, as you can see here, Laverde 128, and I have switched back to this method because I was able to get the players the sort of quarter by quarter on this part of the screen. I finally figured how to do that. But Laverde 128, he was massive in the last quarter here, you'll see, with a couple of chipping it around in the last little bit here. In red time here, he combined for 8, 14, 20, 26 points. So yeah, that's how he got to 128. Caldwell was pretty big early. You can see 32, 43, 26, and then 25 in the last quarter. But he was pretty big to a 126, which was yeah, second best on the ground. Then you have Stringer 119. He kicked 5. I don't expect him to continue to kick bags like this, but I mean, he's one that so yeah, I wouldn't be jumping on him necessarily, but yeah, he is a good for his odd game. As you see here, he kicked, what did he do? A lot of marking involved with him. I don't know what his exact stats were, but yeah, he ended up all right. Let me just check his exact stats. I think he ended up with 5 goals. 1, 2, 3. He kicked 3 goals, 1 in that quarter, 4, and then I think he kicked a 5th one somewhere here, yeah, 5. I think he kicked 5 goals, 1. And yeah, he was a pretty big influence. He might even get best on ground for his effort. 20 touches, 5 goals, 10 marks, which was absolutely huge. He probably was almost best on ground. I know that Merritt was probably almost there for the 3 votes as well. Then we go to Merritt himself. He had a huge last quarter. And a lot of these were effective disposals, which was annoying because he ended up, I think, with like a 1, yeah, he ended up with a 111 fantasy, but his super coach was like a 130 or a 135 or something. Yeah, 135 super coach or 111 fantasy. So I got him in for the 111 fantasy, which is a pretty good option, to be honest with you. When you go for almost set and forget guys, rather than guys that could be a little bit iffy, those 700Ks. We talk about them a lot in the mistakes video that I'm currently editing, and need to get a move on with that. But yeah, so Merritt, I'm really happy with that selection. Hopefully he can go 110, 115 for the rest of the year. Durham 96, Draper 94, Martin 93. He slowed down a little bit. Only 9 points in the first quarter was a little bit annoying. And then he went bang bang, and you thought, okay, he's going to do well here. And then 25 points, but they were all pretty much early in the quarter. You can see here 19 points early in the quarter, so we got to 87 very, very quickly, and you thought, oh yeah, he'll be on for 110 here. But another 90, which isn't the worst, because if you think about all the defenders that we have, a lot of them are going in the 90 sort of range, if you actually look at the fantasy split. McGrath 93, Ridley 93. Ridley again sort of showing that he was maybe had a little bit too much of a good L3. I mean, he ended up with a 93-84 split, which is pretty good, but again, just sort of showing that if you pick a guy that's sort of L3 based, be careful that they are going to just drop down a little bit. I think Ridley was the #1 sort of player for that reason. Redmond as well. I mean, they just sort of have all these guys that are averaging sort of 80 to 90 in that backline. So it takes too many points off each other, basically. Dersma, I thought, was pretty good for a wing row. Guelphy, Kelly, Heppel, Wright, Cox, Jones, Langford, Caddy, Perkins, Hind, Mackay, and McKenzie. Then we go over to West Coast. Elliot Yeo was absolutely huge. I think he ended up with 12 or so tackles. I'll just double check that. He ended up with 13 tackles, a 117 and a 139 Supercoach. He was absolutely amazing and kept them pretty much in the contest. Even kicked a goal as well. Cripps, I was wondering how this would work out with him, and I need to actually double check with him, and I'll do that right now in terms of him, because I think he's been one that's slipped under the radar a little bit in the last couple of weeks with such a barren forward line. I don't care about that. I just want to see Jamie Cripps here. Last 3, 92, last 4, 87, 84. So why has he done, so he's gone 95, 108, 74, 38, 105, 73, 67. I just don't know if there's any... This is the one where I think it would be basically like a player going for scores overall. Very similar. I mean, Ridley wasn't the same thing, but Caldwell at the time, when a lot of people picked him up, it was scores overall almost. Same thing with almost Dylan Moore. So Jamie Cripps, I feel like would be one that could easily pop like a 50 if he doesn't get going early almost. But it's an interesting one if you needed like a 23rd primo or something like that, just because he can score big, and he is 630k. Duggan again, sort of showing that Martin isn't that bad. He outscored Martin outscored him by 7, and so yeah, and Martin's got those really big 130, 140 games in him potentially. Duggan, Allen, Barras, McGovern as well. He's just a massive efficiency king sort of guy, as he ended up, I think, an 81 and a 105 or something like that in Supercoach. He ended up with a 99 in Supercoach from an 81. He always is above his sort of average. Waterman, Ryan, Jimby tried to tag Merritt, but it didn't work. As you see here, definitely in the first quarter got on top, but second quarter, Merritt sort of brought him into the back line, and it didn't really work as well. And then in the third and fourth quarter, he got on top in the third quarter, and then Merritt in the last quarter just sort of got on top again. Then you get Witherden, Flynn. Chess I thought was alright. He's sort of developing into a winger, but I don't know how much more time they're going to give him, to be honest with you. But I don't think he'll be fantasy relevant. Hoff, Jones, Darling, Brockman, Petrocelli, Marek, Hunt, sorry, not Hearn, Rotham, Williams, Cole, and Hutchinson came on for a 13 very late. Not much to report from this game, to be honest with you. Merritt, Caldwell, Elliott, Yeo, and Duggan are sort of the only guys that I'd be looking at alongside, obviously, Martin. So Martin, Merritt, Caldwell, and Elliott Yeo would be the only guys I'm looking at from this game here. But anyway, that is pretty much the video there, going through the Essendon versus West Coast game. A shorter one just because there wasn't much to report on this game. And I guess I will see you guys back here for the last recap of the round, whichever one it is. Let me just double check whichever one it is. It'll be the Fremantle versus Gold Coast game. So I'll see you guys in that one. Bye guys.